Silas, the mayor. When he heard about the arrest of Frankie Delgado, his first reaction was, well, damn, how am I going to get a new bridge now? See, when Mayor Joseph P. Manzoni had gotten wind of Frankie's arrest, he'd called Sheriff Bud Johnson personally. Normally, he left law enforcement matters to his security detail, a hand-picked team of elite bodyguards that took their duty to protect the mayor very seriously, maybe a little too seriously. But after the incident with the bridge, the mayor knew he needed to step in himself. No, not the bridge incident. That was the good one. I'm talking about the bird incident. Now let's be clear, the mayor adored his security detail, even if they were prone to taking his advice a bit too literally. Like that time he suggested they get the grass cut at the golf course, and they showed up with enough manpower and equipment to lay sod on the entire White House lawn. Or the time he mentioned a fly was on his neck, and they descended on him with bug spray and nets until he was practically blinded. But there was one thing the mayor knew they excelled at: procuring things for him. Sometimes legally, mostly illegally, but always swiftly. And he had a proposition for Sheriff Bud Johnson. When the mayor made a request, it was generally understood that it came with a certain level of cooperation. And this time, he wanted Frankie Delgado brought to him. Alive, of course, and without handcuffs. After all, the mayor had big plans for Frankie. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what could the mayor possibly want with a notorious con man? Well, the answer, as it so often does, lies in money. Mayor Mancini had a small but burning ambition. He wanted to build a bridge. Not just any bridge, mind you, but a luxurious, extravagant pedestrian bridge over Biscayne Bay that would link his beloved South Beach to the mainland, bearing his name, of course, and featuring VIP sections and lanes exclusively for segways. Now, the problem with this glorious vision was twofold. One, it would cost approximately $12 billion, and two, nobody in the city government or the state legislature would go anywhere near such an obviously ridiculous proposal. But the mayor had a solution. Enter stage left, Frankie Delgado. See, the mayor had followed Frankie's exploits with great amusement, and while he didn't entirely trust the man, he did know that if anyone could sell a fantasy to gullible billionaires, it was Frankie. And the mayor had the perfect candidate in mind, someone he referred to as Sir Galahad II, a nickname he bestowed upon himself. Now, this gala was shaping up to be an embarrassing financial disaster. Vandergeld was in a panic. His guests were starting to arrive, and all he had to entertain them with was a tired old harp and a bowl full of stale pretzels. Just as he was considering skipping town and moving to North Korea, his phone rang. It was Dr. Albright. "Silas, I have good news. I just confirmed the authenticity of the second verse of American Pie. It's real. I never doubted it. The guy who sold it to you is a miracle worker. I need you to pay me double." Vandergeld stared at the phone, his mind racing. He could still back out. He could tell everyone it was a scam, save face, and disappoint no one. But the alternative, hosting a lackluster party with nothing to offer his fellow mega-rich, was unthinkable. He sighed heavily. "All right, Dr. Albright, send an invoice, and book a hotel suite for tonight. I'll be there soon." As the first yachts approached, Vandergeld took a deep breath and walked out to greet his guests. As the evening wore on, Vandergeld found himself enjoying the party. The worst he'd suffer was losing a few $100,000 and having his ego bruised a little bit. He was laughing heartily, actually enjoying the company of people who seemed happy to be in his presence. Suddenly, a familiar face entered the room. It was the mayor, dapper as ever, accompanied by a beautiful woman with long legs and a briefcase. "Silas," the mayor boomed, embracing Vandergeld warmly. "My dear fellow, you have no idea how happy I am to see you enjoying yourself. I, Joseph P. Manzoni, am running for governor of Florida." "Oh, I don't know," Vandergeld said slowly, feigning disinterest. "I'm afraid I'm not much of a politician." "Nonsense," the mayor interrupted. "You are already a legend in Palm Beach, Mr. Vandergeld, but to take my campaign to the next level, I need a strong showing in Miami. and you, my friend, can help me do that. Imagine the headlines: Vandergeld endorses mayor for governor. Vandergeld conceded, intrigued. As the night continued, the mayor wined and dined Vandergeld, peppering him with stories of his own political triumphs and the glories of his proposed bridge. By the end of the night, they'd settled on a deal. The mayor would give Vandergeld his old Hummer limo, a limited edition model. It only had 68,000 miles on it, and the tires were practically new. Plus, the mayor would get Vandergeld's endorsement in his campaign. It was an arrangement that benefited both parties, or so thought the mayor. See, Vandergeld may have had an inflated sense of his own importance, but he wasn't stupid. He understood exactly what he'd gotten himself into. He'd agreed to endorse a narcissistic millionaire with a dangerous taste for power, not to mention the mayor's taste in cars. In his mind, he'd lost a few $100,000, gained a cool limo, and marginally boosted his public profile. But he'd also realized something equally important. Sheriff Bud Johnson wasn't smart enough to realize he'd been manipulated, which meant when he inevitably went to write that press release about capturing Frankie Delgado, he wouldn't realize that the mayor was the one who'd captured the con man in the first place. It would all be thanks to Bud, or, as the mayor liked to think of it, thanks to God. And God, as it so happens, has a sense of humor. Mayor Manzoni woke up the next morning feeling like a winner. He'd managed to snag a prestigious endorsement and a swanky new ride. As he peeled out of his driveway in the Hummer, he saw it was being towed away. The mayor frowned. Had he paid for it already? Did he have to pay for it? Below him, two figures walked leisurely out of the tow yard, whistling a jaunty tune and pushing a shopping cart overflowing with shiny hubcaps. One was unmistakable, slick and grinning ear to ear. It was Frankie Delgado. Beside him was a much less recognizable Sheriff Bud Johnson. The wheels of justice may turn slowly, but when they land, they hit hard. As the mayor drives to City Hall to figure out his next move, we pan to the humble abode of Sheriff Bud Johnson. In the kitchen, he's helping his wife unpack groceries. She's oblivious to the fact that her husband has inadvertently outsmarted one of Miami's most notorious con men. Suddenly, she opens a cabinet and pulls out a gleaming jar of pickles. "These are the best dill pickles on earth," she says proudly. "I bet your famous con man friends would kill for these." Bud pauses, a thoughtful expression on his face. Could he use these pickles as leverage? How much were they worth on the black market? Was the mayor in danger? Suddenly, a light bulb goes off in his head. Maybe instead of pickles, he could sell the mayor's Hummer to Frankie. After all, it's not a con if the mayor wants to sell the bridge. In the end, it's impossible to know what really happened. The mayor, after all, did eventually build his bridge, the sheriff did retire early, and Frankie was last seen heading north, apparently looking for untapped revenue streams in the Florida Panhandle. All we know for sure is that somewhere in the Sunshine State, someone was eating a dill pickle, smiling contentedly and thinking, "Now, that's a fine condiment."